Alors, bonsoir tout le monde.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Standing Committee on Strategies and Public Policies. As you know, this is a meeting where we don't make any decisions, but we hear from guests who wish to tell us and give us updates on what they're doing with the funding that we provide them and how the business is going, generally speaking. So it's always a pleasure for us to welcome them here. Having said this, our first guest and presenter this evening is Mr. Cormier, Jean-Claude Cormier. Many of us here know him well because he sat around this table with us several years ago. So good evening and welcome, Mr. Cormier. Good evening, Your Worship, members of Council. Thank you for welcoming me here. I will be very brief, as I normally am. However, I do want to thank you, Council and Municipality, for the support. The van that the City of Dieppe has provided to us is still helping us pick up students for some weeks at the beginning of their stay with us before they are able to take the bus to come and find us. So this is a big plus for us. I would also like to invite citizens to continue giving us furniture. This is what keeps us alive, if I may express it this way. We're very lucky because we get many gifts, but please don't stop the donations. And all citizens, I want to say that if you have furniture that you no longer want, please call us if you are not able to come and deliver it to us, to our warehouse. We can go and pick it up from you at your home. All you have to do is call 853-7722, and someone will be more than happy to give us the message. Also, I want to say, because I'm like Santa Claus, I'm doing an annual visit. The only thing is that Santa Claus brings gifts. I'm only bringing you information. Since March, we have gotten scales to weigh all the furniture that comes to us, and I'm very pleased to tell you that we have received more than 14 tons, 28,000 pounds and more of material, and out of this 28,000 pounds and more, we have only had to destroy or get rid of 733 pounds. So I haven't done the percentage calculation, but this is really a success story for us. Also, I want to add that June 3rd, we will be holding our AGM. So we haven't had any AGMs now for 5 years. COVID dragged the rug out from under us, and then we forgot. That's what happens when you get to a certain age. So this year, on June 3rd, we will be holding our annual meeting at EnviroPlus at 10 a.m. If you're free, you are more than welcome to join us, and we'll be happy to welcome you. Right now, we have 9.5 employees. I'm the half. Even physically, it doesn't look like I'm a half. And I'm very pleased to tell you that for the last 18 months or so, we've had some 25 students, and we've had some 20 of these students, boys and girls both. We have found them full-time jobs, not just for 2 days, but full-time jobs for them. For us, this is another success story. And also, it's thanks to the support, because when we talk to the provincial and federal levels of government, we say, we're happy to tell you that we have the support of the three municipalities. And this is, in fact, true. So I'm not going to go on further than this, but I want to thank you for your support. And if you have any furniture that's not doing anything around your house, we'll take it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cormier, Jean-Claude. It's always a pleasure. Any questions by members of council? Councillor Brideau. Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Mr. Cormier, for your presentation. It's great. It's very interesting to know. But I'd like to also know the furniture. It's used furniture, and are you repairing these pieces of furniture and giving them to people in need? We sell them, but 80 to 90% of the furniture that comes in needs a little bit of repair. If things are too busted up, then we break it down. But we're extremely lucky because we have 18 volunteers, if memory serves, and we have three gentlemen who help repair the furniture. And we have many other ladies who also come, and they're working in the dishes. But 80 to 90% of the furniture that comes in, I'm talking about wood furniture now, they all need some small repairs. But the furniture that we resell allows us to offer a continental breakfast to our students and also to provide them a hot meal at noon. We make sure that they have something in their stomachs in order to allow them to work. Anyone else? If not, once again, thank you for your annual visit. And maybe, although we have the opportunity to see each other much more often than that, thank you. And until next time. The next presentation is Kim Rayworth, who's here, who has been for several years representing Capitol Theatre. So, good evening, Kim, if I may be allowed. Yes, please do so. Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you to tell you about our Capitol Theatre. It belongs to all of us, in fact, and the Dieppe City Council, for years now, from the 90s, also deserves the credit like any other municipality, which decided back then to help save this building and to put in a governance structure and to make sure that the community would have an opportunity, would be able to gather in this beautiful venue. It has been restored back to its original state back in 1926. And so you deserve our congratulations for having made this decision. And very soon, we will be bringing you our 31st season of programming. This means that the community really wanted to see these kinds of shows in this venue, which is at the highest end of technology. With 783 seats this summer, we are going to be completely changing the seating in the room, so there'll be 771 seats in the theater. We're happy to see that we're not losing seats, but we'll be improving the public's experience in our venue. When we talk to the public who comes to our theater, this is the most negative comment we often hear from them. They say the seats are not comfortable, and after 31 years, it was high time to change the seating. So I'm very happy to share with you that not only our vision and mandate, but also some memories of the most memorable moments that we had together this year. So our vision and mandate is we manage the major bilingual center by producing and presenting artistic programs to enriching the lives of those in Greater Moncton, New Brunswick, and from elsewhere. The Capitol Theatre is a regional leader in developing and presenting the theater shows, and we have partnerships with organizations and institutions, governments, and we are preserving our heritage. I just want to show you a quick overview of this year's shows. The shows were sold out. This was a show which was held recently. We had this was an Ontario group, and they are leading the song. They're called Choir, 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 this group, and they sang the hits of the 1980s. It was a great show. The public adored. Come, and I can tell you that they're coming next year. We're going to be unveiling our new season. This is another group that sold out twice on the November 11th. Salbab, Jean-François Book, he has already stated that he'll be coming back through, and the tickets will be on sale soon, and there will be in the 24-25 season. This is another artist from Ontario, Alison Russell, who was nominated for June. She didn't win this year. She's been singing for a long time. The public really appreciated her show. This is the Flip Fabrique. It's a circus troupe from Quebec. They've been to see us 3 times now. Once again, this is a great example of the diversity of onstage arts that we have seen in all disciplines. You will see them in our venue. To put all these shows up every year, we have 15 employees who are full-time with us. There's another 40 team members who are either casual or contract workers, either bar service, ticketing, and there are more. There are many people who are involved in delivering these shows to audiences. And so we could hire another 100 people in a very short period of time during the summer. This is a picture of the Abacabra, who gave us a lovely evening. We attended the Ukrainian Club Monk. There were some 40 people in the venue that night. We have an access program, so we offered free tickets to this community. This was very emotional to hear them sing all together with the group. They were speaking back and forth. There was a call and response type of thing. It was great to see this community come together at a period of time which is very difficult for this community. This is Pack Drumline. They came from the States. They were in a competition in America's Got Talent. Once again, full house for a show that people really liked. So our fiscal year is ending on June 30th, and I'm able to share with you until the end of April some of the results and successes over the year. When we see and look at what we did over the weekend, many shows were sold out. Daniel Bélanger was there Friday night, and a lot of people came in the last days and weeks. It's been very busy for us, but more than 100 guests came to our 5 spaces this year. Our spaces were busy 240 plus days. We also we had hired 87 artists or groups that we paid checks to. There were 177 onstage events. These are artists who are on tour, who want to come and play in our venue. We had 4 school matinees. There are 1,837 members who are, I know many of you are Capitol Theatre members. This is our loyalty program. People register and they get benefits and they have access to pre-sales. Our community will be invited to become members. People can buy all the tickets in our programming. They will be on sale from May 30th. We are going to be announcing some 70 artists and groups that will be on stage next year. And then further to that, over the course of the year, once other shows are added to the schedule, members have pre-sale access for these activities. So it's not true that Moncton is a last-minute town, or Dieppe, or Riverview for that matter. We've succeeded in making people loyal to us. They buy tickets earlier, and the word gets around. people say they've lost their chance, and so they buy their tickets ahead of time. It's become a source of a very important source of revenue for us. You'll see what we do at the end of the year, but we have about $90,000 in revenue just because of these loyalty programs. So what we charge people means it costs us nowhere near $80,000 to offer these pre-sale services and reductions for our tickets and a free drink for every ticket sold. So it's become not only an important source of income for us, but this is what it means and what we've achieved. But also, it makes some 2,000 homes are loyal to us. They are aware of our activities. They support us. They come often to our shows. So we're very proud of this program. Also, every November, we ask the community and we offer programs to help those who need help with access. So we've collected $28,000 through Friends of the Capitol Theatre. We also have uh, collected $10,000 in rental. Oh, we have assumed rather $10,000 in rental costs. So they have the opportunity to get free rent in the Empress Room and other rooms in the Capitol Theatre. So this has helped us support the development of artists in the current, and we have offered 57 gift certificates for nonprofits. And so they do this to get money for their organizations. And we have financed 29 scholarships for the Academy, the Capitol Theatre Academy. So they've been able to attend our theater courses. So this is a quick overview and a slideshow of all the comedians and artists and actors who played in The Little Mermaid. This was the musical comedy that the Capitol Theatre put on in cooperation with the Tour Musica Orchestra. So this was a very important project for us. For 7 years, we've been putting on this type of musical comedy. We are not producers. We're not like Théâtre Escaouette, and we don't do this programming, but once a year we do it. And this year, the gross revenues will hit $475,000. It was our biggest production income-wise for ticket sales. There is no public support fund nor provincial or federal project that helps us. So it creates jobs for more than 100 people in the community. It allows us to have local artists who perform. Camille Conmy, for example, there are other performers, professional performers who come from the area who maybe live away, but they come back to find their families. But they're so happy to have these opportunities to perform on stage on a professional venue. And also it allows students in our Capitol Theatre Academy to play with these professionals. So it was a record year for us. More than 7,500 people attended this show. It was the costliest, however, the one that generated the most revenue. So this gives you an example of the corporate partnerships that we have with community organizations who support the access programs that we offer. There's one for diversity in the arts, supported by TD Bank. Atlantic Lotto also sponsors programs which reduce ticket prices by 50% for those 35 years and under, and other donors allow us to offer these access programs. And here you can also see the agencies that benefited from these programs, for example, Magma, CAFI, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Moncton Cares, Ensemble, Harvest House. Many organizations offer access to our activities to their members. So there's a representative from our organization who is the liaison person with the managers of these organizations to allow their members access for those who might be in financial need, who would not otherwise be able to attend. This year, we also have a program called Give to the Follower to pay a little bit more for a ticket and to be able to offer a ticket at a reduced price to someone in the community. This worked so well that we're going to offer it again next year. There were also tickets where people reserve a ticket without paying money, but after the performance, they pay what they thought the experience was worth. We are also putting forward all the efforts we have to reduce access barriers. So you know that there are hearing devices that you can request. There are wheelchair accessible spaces closer to the stage for those who don't have issues seeing. There are seats reserved close with larger with seats, booster seats for children. There are service animals are welcome, and we have a drop-off zone during show nights. There are other access programs. We offer these many ways to the community in order to encourage them to come to the Capitol Theatre. There are other opportunities. There are open door events. People can come and find out a little bit more about the Capitol Theatre, find out about its history. The mascot is always around to represent the fact that we are a welcoming and warm-hearted place where everyone should feel welcome. And I know I went very quickly over this, but this is the Capitol Theatre Academy led by Marshall Button and Minnie Lavoie. In 1 year, there are some 300 young people who follow who take theater courses. Often they have the opportunity to be on stage in the big room. So this is of high value. And all of this would mean nothing if we didn't have our public. We had a lot of fun together. The last picture is the group of volunteers. There are many 200 volunteers who help us out every single year. This represents a huge amount of money, wages or salaries that are saved for us. It would be very difficult to have the activities we provide without these volunteers. We just had their celebration last Monday. It was a great evening. We have a wait list. There is no challenge in recruiting volunteers. We have a great coordinator who does all that work. So it's a great team. Often, I know that our donors want to know what the challenges are. Well, it's to find the artists to put them on stage. There are many people where places where people can perform, but we're looking for strategies to make sure that our stages are in good shape. We listen to the public's complaints with the experience they had with the seating, so we're changing the seating. So we need enough team members at the on the technical side. That's always difficult. So we do all we can to retain them on the team, but really things are going very well. And it's like Christmas Eve for us. We're heading toward May 30th, and we're very eager to share the new programming with you for next year. So there's a quick overview of our activities. Thank you very much for this presentation. Any questions by council members? Ms. Rayworth, once again, an excellent presentation. So good that there are no questions for you. I have one quick thing that I'm disappointed that you haven't spoken about the full house for Luc Leblanc. He's coming back, you know. He's coming back? Oh, even better. Yes, the tickets are on sale right now. It was a great show. We'll see you there. Right. No doubt. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, all. The next presentation will allow them to skate with us for about 20 minutes or so and to talk to us about hockey. And it's the Hockey Dieppe Memram Cup. Good evening. Hello. Kevin? Yes. Kevin Carrier. I'm the president for the past 3 years now. 2 years. It feels like 3, I'm sure. Yes. Yes, it's starting to feel like 3. So I'm the new president. So I finished my term and I'll be showing up for another term Serge is also with me. He's a technical director for Hockey Dieppe Memram Cook. We're lucky we have two others on staff full-time, Christian Bossé, and is not here this evening, but this is our team. And here we are the lucky ones who are going to talk about hockey, which is a great sport nonetheless. And probably you have children or acquaintances or someone who's played, has gone through the ranks of Hockey Dieppe Memram Cook. And we'll be giving you this presentation to tell you. So, Hockey Memram Cook, our mission, as you can see, is what we say, but is to provide an opportunity to young community members to develop in a sport which is our national sport. And you'll see that there are always challenges. However, we have good partners, and I'll be telling you about them. Sometimes you say that hockey is a sport that can be expensive. We've put many things in place at Hockey Dieppe Memram Cook to lessen that burden, and we'll be telling you the details of that very shortly. The board of directors has 20 members. I'm the chair of that board. There are 2 full-time employees. Sorry, I'm moving too much. We'll stop playing the music. So on this board of directors, there are 20 members, as I said, and a third of them are women. We have 2 employees, and our AGM is 2 days' time on May 23rd. So that's our board. We have some positions that are open we are going to be hoping to fill for the next season. Our successes. One of the biggest successes we've had has been women's hockey. We're in our 6th or 7th season of women's hockey. We began with a group of 30 young women, where there are now 174 registered. We focus on women's hockey. Maybe it's somewhat my fault. I have 2 daughters who play women's hockey and who love the sport. And so women's hockey is so as important as our co-ed teams. There is no distinction between ice times. Everyone is part of a team. So we're not saying, oh, the boys have this, the girls have this. No, it's fairly shared, and we're very proud of that. We have M7 to M18. We had a couple of under 9 groups, and next year we'll have 3 groups at under 11. So this is continuing to increase. This year, we did a pilot project, and we asked, well, that is to say, we wanted every team to have a coach, a women's coach rather. So Serge gave a training session. It was a pilot project. Hockey New-Brunswick talks a lot with us to ask us how it went. So this is something that we did this year. There was a women's coach on every team. As I said earlier, something we like is our 50-50 draw. I don't know if you all buy tickets. And if you don't buy any, well, please do so. They're important, beautiful amounts, very nice amounts to win. The 50-50 draw allows people who maybe don't always have the means to go and help subsidize the registration fees for the following year. So if you have $50, $10 goes to management costs, and then more money for registration. So it's 40% of what you sell. We sold 330,000, so $121,000 is sent back to young people for their registrations, given to parents to register young people. So $121,000 is a good amount of money. The golf tournament, we wanted to buy the hockey shirts that you'll see in a moment, but our 3rd edition is taken off. We've collected more than $100,000 over 3 years, which is a great fundraising for equipment, including hockey sweaters. And for the 5th consecutive year, we're not sure yet, but we're maybe won't be increasing fees next year. So for 4 years, we haven't touched fees, which is incredible when it comes to it. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, but we'll see.
Visibilité
Visibility of the organization. Well, Hockey Dieppe Memramcook is the second association in size in New Brunswick, and Fredericton has all of the surrounding communities. So it's as if we were to include Riverview, Dieppe, and everybody. So really, I mean, technically speaking, we're really the biggest association. Our jerseys that you see here, that we did a refresh. We have a new logo now, a new look, and that cost us $105,000. So this is money, but the golf tournament continues to accumulate funds for the purchase of the next series of jerseys. And our technical director went to Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon. So that's great visibility for us as an organization. Visibility for Dieppe. We have 5 major tournaments that include 303 teams, of which 177 travel more than 150 kilometers. So in total, that gives about 2,650 players that have to sleep in the hotel. At $200 a night, we're talking about over $1 million in revenue just for the hotels in the region. Add restaurants to that, and that's another 700,000 or $120 for 2 days for a family of 4, which is reasonable or very conservative actually as a figure. But we have a lot of visibility. We bring a lot of visibility. As well, we have a number of newcomers who want to play. They want to learn to play hockey. So we work with pro youth, and we have a lot of equipment at AGL. So we do a day where people can come and try out. We can dress them from head to toes. They don't need to buy even hockey sticks. So we give them the equipment to the newcomers who want to learn, and so they really appreciate it. And what my request then is to please donate to Pro Jeunesse, Pro Youth, and our teams our Dieppe teams are recognized throughout the Maritimes. One of our logo is one of the best known in minor hockey of the province, and somebody. I come from the north. When we were youth, it was the Dieppe Voyageurs, but their logo was known throughout. Now it's the Eagles and the Panthers, and it's the same thing. Their logo is instantly recognized. The objectives, well, the most important objectives are to try and keep our costs at the same level. This is something that we want to work on. Well, through sponsors, we're going to do that by adding more camps, with the help of the city, with getting help a little bit from different areas. But one of our major objectives is to try and continue to minimize the cost. Hockey is fairly expensive as it is, so if we can keep it as a reasonable level, well, then we will have done our job. There's a pilot project with for refs, because recently the coaches aren't always very nice with our young referees, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's not everybody who wants to be a ref. So we have a pilot project that is going to put the cameras on the referee. Just the fact that the referee is going to have a camera, that might lower the level of energy of the coaches, perhaps. No, not the coaches from Dieppe. It's the trainers, the coaches from other cities, from other areas. Serge here does a great job. And also, you might have seen that we're about to buy Pixelot cameras. We're going to be installing these Pixelot cameras in AGL and the Uni ice surfaces in all of the arenas. These are really good quality, and everybody, your aunt, your uncle, your cousins are going to be able to watch the games. And we're also working on the branding. This was our 51st U13, U11, U13 tournament, and we're trying to create our branding for our tournaments to give them a name. We're working on that with a firm, and the same as the Meltdown tournament is well known. That's a good branding. That one, the Meltdown tournament. Now the challenges. Well, the costs. Once again, just this year, as an example, Hockey New Brunswick is increasing their registration by $20. Hockey Canada is increasing by $11 per youth. And let's say you in the city, you're saying that you're going to increase it by 77% for the ice surface. That's $30 per youth. So that, that's $71 for each youth, $100, $70 for each of the 900 youth. That's $6,400. And we understand that everything is expensive for you, the infrastructure, everything is expensive. But for you, an increase of 7% for the ice, well, yeah, it's just 7% for you, but it's a lot for us. And it's a big part of it when we look at all the other fees and costs. Another one of our challenges is the ice surface. In the weekend, the U9 coaches, we have our ice surfaces during the weekend, but the challenge is from Monday to Thursday, what we call prime time. These would be for the teams that don't have they don't have as much opportunity, as much ice time from on Monday to Thursday. And other groups, private groups, have ice that we can't have. That's another challenge. And I was talking about the 7% increase, but last year, HDM, we gave you $375,000 for ice time. 7% would be $26,000. And renovations at AGL, that's already causing us headaches. We don't know if we're going to have the ice. I don't know if it's just at AJL, but also we'd like to have an office as well, office space, an office space for our staff. And we'd like to show you a proposal to allow us to have an office at AGL, but we'll do that at the same time as we talk about the renovations. You'll see what we're proposing. Thank you. Well, a very big word of thanks. Everybody who comes has one thing to say about our infrastructure, how clean they are, how clean the facilities are. The staff in the arenas are top notch. If they're walking along and there's a piece of paper on the ground, they will pick it up. They'll put it in their pocket or in the waste bin. I don't know what you told them, and what's even better is that the youth that started there are doing exactly the same thing. So congratulations. Thank you. It's always very, very clean. And at every tournament, people tell us about it. And yeah, we have great facilities. Yes, but they're always really clean too. And that's all. Thank you. That's all. Thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Godette. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your presentations. I have a question. For people who don't have the means to buy the equipment, do we still have people who want to play but can't because they can't afford it? Or how does that work? Do you have a list of people? Well, there must be some, but it doesn't come to us. The pro jeunesse group, the pro youth, they have a threshold. So if you qualify with pro youth, you qualify. I've never had anybody come tell me that, oh, I can't play hockey, I can't afford it. Perhaps people are shy and don't want to tell me about it, but we don't hear about that. Now, if that is the case, I think that we would find a way to help them. So if you have a family in Dieppe that doesn't have the means to pay for their kid, we'll do everything possible to accommodate them, to help them out. Yes. Councillor Godbout. Thank you. Excellent presentation. I have kids who have gone through minor hockey, and my last one is going to be finishing next year. So we're all graduates of the program. One question we often hear is that people have concerns because of accidents that can happen. Can you tell us what your protocols are against concussions, and how can you address these concerns that the parents have? We have a pilot project that I didn't mention, but we have this pilot project with Sparks, Connect Sparks. So there's a baseline test at the beginning of the year before they go on the ice for the training camp. We ask all of our U15 and U18 competitive to go talk, and we're going to talk about this at our AGM, but we ask them to go take the baseline tests. Now, I'm not a physician, I'm not a physiotherapist. I don't know if you have a concussion or not. But so you do a baseline test. Now, if you don't feel well when you're on the bench, if you fall and if you have a headache, the coach gives you a telephone. You have 5 questions to answer, and automatically it's flagged red, yellow, or green. If it's red, well, it's sent right to Sparks, and the next day, if you want to go there, otherwise you can go elsewhere. You can have an appointment with Sparks, and you can't play again until they give you the green light to play. And there's a progression. Personally, I'm 43. I shouldn't have any concussions, but I've gone through the process twice, and it's really excellent. So that's our process now. And do you keep statistics on the number of incidents? Do we see consistency and improvement? Sparks is keeping that. I think this year we had 8. It's not a great number, but we're 8. And it's a brain injury, so it's not something that we take lightly. Thank you. Anybody else? I don't see any lights on, so thank you very much for your excellent presentation. We're all aware of our youth. We're very sensitive to our youth, and the way that you're driving this ship is great. I think everybody agrees. Everybody is really lucky to have you at the helm, and we'd like to thank you for all of the work you do with our youth, our young boys, our young girls. Thank you. Don't give up. Thank you. We now move on to the grassy sport, soccer, or football in many countries. Good evening. Yep, we're going to talk about soccer. First of all, my name is Yannick Faber. I'm the new administrative director, and I'm accompanied by Bader, our secretary, this evening. We won't go into the details because we have a lot to present here, but please, I'd like to present the team, Soccer Dieppe, all of our successes, our objectives, and the challenges for the year to come. First of all, very quickly, we're going to talk about our vision and mission. We're currently working on a strategic plan. We're reviewing our mission and our vision. And of course, we don't want to reinvent anything, but we have to put things differently. And so we're doing that work right now when we're being helped by the city of Dieppe. So thank you for that. Our vision currently is to train athletes at all levels and to develop leaders of tomorrow. It's important not only for sports, but for the human side. It's there are team sports, so there's interactions between people, and it's something very important that we help develop. The mission is to allow players to play in either competitively or recreationally, and it depends on what they want. We want to ensure continuity in the development. We want to guarantee accessibility to sport in Dieppe. We were talking about financial accessibility previously, but we also that's a problem for us sometimes, but we're also talking about accessibility. Just getting to Dover, people might not have transportation. It's not necessarily easy. So we really focus on accessibility in all of its aspects. And we want to monitor the qualification and development of coaches and referees. We were talking about traumatic brain injuries earlier and concussion, and we really want to focus on the training of our coaches, whether it's on the health of our athletes, on aggressive behavior, and we want to have a greater number of coaches who are trained, properly trained technically, but also on the human side, and really to help coach these youth. And we want to collaborate with other clubs and municipal organizations, both regionally and provincially, in order to promote the development of soccer. Some figures. We're not going to read them all, but in the summer, it's about 61%, and we're just preparing our busy season right now. This year, we've had 2,120 registrations accumulated restrictions. This is for the spring and the summer program. So it's 1,313 individual registration. So 1,313 youth and adults who want to play soccer with us who did play soccer with us in 2023. And it starts at age 3. So I don't know the numbers for the older groups, but there we have seniors as well. And we want to continue to implement programs as well. We want to continue to develop programs for the winter season as well. Now, and this is very important as well. Amongst our success stories, we have really good results on the female side. And so it's important for us to really make sure that we have all of the numbers on the distribution. Overall, the women and girls represent 30% of our registrations, and so 70% for males. But this 30 or 40%, it's actually 30 or even 40% in the summer, but in the winter, the girls play other sports quite often, or at least they don't come see us as much.
Parfait. Donc,
Now,
maintenant, je vais présenter pour
now I'm going to talk about our success stories in 2023. This shows that the effort that have been made towards our objectives. And for the on the female side, girls and women, we see that there's greater number of successes for the females than the males. And we're trying to now balance out a little more to try and have a greater number of male teams that are successful. And we're very happy to see this. For example, the U13 had a silver medal and were champions of the regular season. U17 were provincial champions, and the senior women's won the silver medal as well. For the men's side, it's U13. They were provincial champions. And women's soccer, women and girls are very successful. They're called by the academy, the soccer academy, which means that they perform very well and they should be proud. We had 14 girls were invited. And for the men's side, we had three boys were invited. And these are the prizes that we won last year. The club, the prizes from Soccer NB. We were the Elite Club of the Year. We received the Host Appreciation Award. We won the U13 men's team was the men's team of the year, and the women's team of the year was the U17 AAA. Yeah, so they won team of the year. Charles Toussignan won the prize for coach of the year, And the player of the year was Isabelle Doiron. And here you see some images that we took at the AGM of Soccer NB. As the same list of prizes here, just the pictures changed to show you the different faces of some of our winners. And we're very lucky this year to have some new staff members as well. I have Yannick here, who is here with me this evening, and today was the first day of work for Ansu, who is our technical director. He's worked as Paris Saint-Germain in France. He was head coach of the national team of Liberia. So he's a professional coach, and we're very happy to have him here with us. And we have great programs, they're great quality. And with him, we have a great hope that it'll be even more improved, better quality, more technical, more detailed tactics. And also, I'd like to mention that I don't know if it was mentioned at the beginning or not, but we have a new board as well, and more than we're all new. 39% of the new board are all new, so we might have challenges there too. And now we'll move on to the objectives for 2024. As all clubs, one of the objectives is to continue to build the club, to strengthen the development, and we need to train our new staff members as well, and our CA. We want to build something that has continuity to make sure that it's sustainable, that it's there for the long term. We're working on our strategic plan as well, and we're continuing discussions with our partners to develop new spaces for indoor soccer, and communication, of course, is one of our weak points currently, but we need to improve communication on the social networks, but also with members and parents. And on the technical side, we need to develop soccer. And once again, we need to improve the training and our recognition, the quality of the programs. And we're known for that, but we need to continue to improve, of course. And our challenges for the year to come, and of course you're aware of this, the major challenge is the closing of the building at Dover, what we used as our clubhouse. It was very spacious and allow us to have to offer programs, camps for the youth, and to protect them when the weather was bad. So we're working hard to try and make arrangements for that building. And the second one, well, we just mentioned it, but a number of our board members are new, so there isn't a lot of seniority there. We're all very competent, of course, but there's no seniority. We don't know, there's no, we'll have to go through a few years to be able to better anticipate. That's one of our challenges this year. We have a direct link with the Francophone school district, and this is essential for us because we don't have a lot of surfaces that we can use during the winter, and there are difficulties. We're in 8 different schools with schedules that aren't always easy, with different rules in each one. And so we're managing it bit by bit to try and bring it all together and make it more consistent and simple for everyone. But it is a challenge. And we're talking about facilities. We did a calculation, more than $55,000 that we spend in facilities that are not in Dieppe, the dome, the steps at the university, the Medavi Stadium, because we only have one turf here, in artificial turf surface here, and we don't have a great number of covered surfaces for our winter programs and or even our spring programs when the ground is still frozen. So our facilities infrastructures are a challenge, and we need to have good financial management to make sure that the financial aspect is as low as possible. This year, we had to increase the cost of almost all of our programs by $100 just so we don't lose money. And there's the increase of the cost of living. Well, some people can't pay the whole thing. They just simply cannot. So, and the assistance is not always enough to cover the total cost of the program. So we try, we're going to need more, we're going to have to ask for more money from private corporations to try and minimize the increases. And thank you for having listened to us this evening. And we are funded in part by New-Brunswick, but also by Canada and of course, and Dieppe. And these are some of our other sponsors, as you see here. Well, thank you for your presentation. Questions from Councillor? Councillor Godbout. Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question, perhaps you can answer, perhaps somebody else, but how the new turf behind Mathieu Martin, how was that helpful? This is the first year that you've been able to use it. Do you see a greater possibility for use, or is the football field available as well? We were using Mathieu Martin during the spring season last year, and overall, all of the available hours, we use it, yes. All of our spring programs are here. Our tryouts, everything is done during the spring program at Mathieu Martin. And the Dover program will open up in early June. But during the summer, we used Dover for all of our official matches, for AAA, to U15 to senior, because there's one field there at Mathieu Martin, but you need another one. Yeah, well, Dover is great for the training, for mini soccer, etc. But if we want to bring our U11 and U13 AAA to that level, we need that field. And today, with the available time slots, AAA, we have to send them elsewhere for their matches. So there's certain matches that can't be played at Mathieu Martin for lack of time. Thank you. Any further questions? I don't see any. Thank you. So have a great season. And I know that it was a good season last year. You had great results, especially for the girls. And we hope to do at least the same or even better, both for the women's and the men's. Well, the guys will have to wake up, right? Yeah. Well, we have there's other problems. Yeah. We have a lot of hope for them. Thank you once again, and have a great season. And we are now going to talk about the results of a national event that was held here. And before giving her the mic, I'm sure that her name is well known. Congratulations, Vicky, for the results, for the overall results of the national tournament that you brought here, that put us on the national map. Thank you. And now I give you the floor. Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship and councillors. Thank you for allowing me to talk a little bit about our tournament. I'm just going to give the highlights though, but if you have any questions. The tournament was held from April 7th to 13th. I don't know if you heard about it during that week, but I saw a lot of familiar faces during the week, so thank you for your presence. Just to present who was behind all of this, we had 13 people on the organizing committee. This committee, the host committee that was created to deliver the program. There were two co-chairs, myself and Marc Gaudreau, that as soon as we were awarded the event, he was president of Ringette New-Brunswick. So he was a key person to make sure that everything worked well and that we had communication with Ringette New-Brunswick. We had a director of finance, director of communication and social media, a director of the volunteers of the events, a technical director. We had representatives from the city of Dieppe on the committee, and we had a director for athlete services, and Jeremy Michaud, yeah, was from the city, I believe. We always had somebody from Ringette Canada who sat in on all of our meetings, and we had 3 advisor members who just helped with the different groups. We started our first meeting in November 2022, so it was a project that was that took a long time to come to fruition.
Quelques petits faits. C'était la
This was
44e
the 44th edition of the championship. Some 49 teams came, representing 866 athletes. There were over 200 staff. I should have updated, but I think there were 230 some team staff who came and 59 officials. There were 179 games over the course of the week. We used 3 arenas because we needed to have 7 ice surfaces to fill all the needs. And for the arenas, I wanted to say that the Uniplex was the hub where most of the event was held. We had a day at AJL and the other center in Moncton. 307 volunteers answered the call to help out with the event, and we used various strategies to recruit these volunteers, but people in the community really stepped up. There was an ambassador program. We had young people of the area who had a chance to participate as well. They went along with the teams throughout the team. So a young person was paired with a team, and they spent the week with a team from British Columbia, for example. So they had an opportunity to live that experience with the team. Thanks to this program, we asked families to be involved and to provide support to the teams to give them whatever they needed in order to cook their meals and help with some of the costs of staying in our area. 516 hotel rooms were reserved. The event was sponsored by Sport Pur, and they were around for the whole of the event. Some 1,100 students from the community attended to watch the games. We invited the schools, and we were very pleased to see that there was a will to attend. This was one of the best moments for me to see during a tournament that all these young people came. Cavendish Farm was one of our sponsors, and they provided us with clappers to cheer along and just to see and watch the atmosphere of these games, which were early in the morning. Not many people were out to watch these games, but we filled the seats in order to give students this experience and also expose these young people to the sport of ringette, especially for new arrivals to the city. Of course, we had partnerships with the city of Dieppe, Moncton, and the province of New Brunswick. This was great. And it was very impressive to see that there were 21 athletes from the Dieppe area who participated in this tournament. So for us, it wasn't just organizing the event, but we were really highlighting our high performance athletes. And so they distinguished themselves at the national level. See that little picture there? These were the children from the school children who came to the games. As to the challenges we had, there weren't any major, huge challenges, but one of the things that we needed
De se fier à notre voisin à Moncton.
to get help from our neighbor in Moncton to fulfill some of our needs, among others, ICERs, we weren't able to use AJL and those two services because of the size. We needed an Olympic size rink. It's only the National Ranget League that could use these services because of their size. And also, Saint Anselme had too small of a surface. It didn't meet the technical standards for ice surface, but the Uniplex surface met all those needs. So that's why we were there. And the Supervision Center, which had the 4 ice surfaces that were all the same side, really made things easy for us. With regard to the spectators, it's important. So we were visible at Uniplex, but the IGA Center caused us some small worries during the championship, although things turned out well. We had looked to fill some of those needs by implementing some other strategies. It was a challenge and it was a success, but it was the first time that artificial ice or the surface had been used for an event. So it was a lot of stress. You know, the employees of the city of Dieppe were stressed about that, and we had to convince them, yes, it was going to be okay. And it went extremely well. We had a match or a game plan. And I want to say thanks again because I heard Hockey Dieppe mention the work that had been done by the installation team. I could say the same thing. They were super. And so they said, you know, we have it, we're going to succeed. I think they had to start 5 times before they were able to get the right thing, but it was important that they played too. One of the things that bothered us a little bit was that one of the criteria was to have a warm-up area for the athletes, a designated warm-up area. So we submitted, with the help of the city, to use the walking track as a designated area for athletes warming up. And a couple of weeks before the event, there were a lot of concerns about that because it was new for us as well. Once we applied to hold the event, the walking track was new, wasn't much used by the public, but we know that it's become very popular. So there was a balance between continuing to help serve the population of Dieppe and serve the championship. But I think we had a great balance, and we had specific hours for athletes and specific hours for people from the city who wanted to come and use the walking track. And Uniplex was also a challenge, but we didn't get any complaints. You know, we had a plan in advance, and people knew that there were limits and that were assigned parking spaces, but there were people who were assigned to direct traffic. Even with the lack of parking, it went well. We had the support of the city. We had city employees who really helped out. The contracted suppliers for Uniplex, I could say that in championships like this, for the Uniplex, we don't often have people who feel at home in a facility like this one. So the catering and ringside, there were things that I said that communication between what had been promised by the city to these suppliers and what was our responsibility to these suppliers. It was, well, we got various bits and pieces, but it was a little difficult to make sure that we were fulfilling all these needs because you had negotiated with some of these suppliers. So at the end of it all, it went well. And guest and catering, we used them to feed the volunteers throughout the week. They were excellent. But we tried to work with them as well to get staff during the event, but they weren't always open to being there at the hours we would have liked them to be. People were getting there early in the morning. They were hoping to get coffee, but sometimes they only opened up at 10 a.m. Something else, City of Dieppe wanted to do a survey of participants. So they were there throughout the week. And unfortunately, even with the, they had some gift cards for those who were participating in the survey. We only got 167 people who participated in the survey. That was a little disappointing with all the people who were there and who participated in the event. So I don't know what could be done any better to increase participation in this survey in the future. Another challenge, during the Canadian Championship, there was another Ranget tournament happening. And so families were kind of torn about where to go. Let's talk about our successes. Volunteers' involvement was a huge success. It's something, we can't deliver activities like this without the help of volunteers. The host committee was very passionate and very engaged. For those who participated or who saw what was happening, you could see the quality of the event that happened. That's thanks to all of those who have worked for the past year and a half to bring it off. The involvement of the employees of the city of Dieppe, Jérémy Robichaud and Jérémy Frenette, we thank them. They were our BFFs for a couple of weeks. They were always ready to answer our call. They did troubleshooting, they did brainstorming, they tried to find solutions for us, and they always stepped up. So I have a huge thank you to these two. Another major accomplishment was that we have a U19 team that really stood out, and they won the silver medal, which was the first medal in this category, age category. So we were very proud of what they accomplished. Another success, well, we know it's had a positive impact on the Ranget community. So we're very eager to see what the results are going to be for the next season. This event also allowed us to gather a small heritage fund that we can use to promote Ranget in our community. During this event, we had a free event, Come and Try Ranget, and you'll see that New Brunswick athletes helped out with this event. We saw lots of kids, some 25, 30 young people came, and I think 20 actually showed up to participate. Some were disappointed that they couldn't go, they were sick, and they were wondering when the next event was going to be. So I think it was very worthwhile. Just to conclude, I just want to show you some pictures. When I look at them, I still get shivers. This was the opening ceremony. You'll see on the ice surface that we put down, as is to say, there was a parade, there was a sporting spirit, all the teams came out, and there was a full house. So it gave a great atmosphere to the event. These are skills competitions which were held at the Uniplex AGL on the Olympic size surface. Even though we had less seating capacity, we crammed the space with spectators, and it was incredible for the athletes. This is just a picture of the under-19 final game. I think, from what I understood from the members and the employees of the arena, this is they're the biggest crowd they've ever seen for a sporting event at this ice surface. So it was really wonderful to see, even though the parking was a small hindrance. This is a beautiful picture of our team. They won the medals. And we also received this beautiful gift. So these 3 medals were framed. I was going to deliver to the city of Dieppe, and you could put it up somewhere in your facilities. I haven't been told yet where it's been hung in the facilities, and that's it. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any questions, comments? Councillor Le Boutillier. It would have surprised me had you not had questions to ask. Quite right. Listen, once again, as His Worship has said, and on behalf of the Council, my hat is off to you, to your team, and Marco Tro. I had an opportunity to be close by, and I was also a volunteer, and it's extraordinary. You know, I think if there was a volunteer of the year, you and your team would have won it. I was at the 7 o'clock shift. She was already there, and I'm sure you didn't leave before 11:30 or later every night. So I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of hours of preparation you put in, because this type of event doesn't happen on its own. So bravo to the whole team. And I see lots of people in this huge family, and everyone said it's exceptional. It was really something. And when we have championships like this one, I tell you about the impact. You saw the team that won the silver medal, but out of a team of 18, there are 13 who were chosen to try out for Team Canada. I may be mistaken, but I think I counted 13. And at a lower level, I'm not sure. I was just going by the under 19 members. There's a whole impact on all the community. Once again, thank you. Congratulations. My hat is off to you. You're going to be, you know, there's another challenge at Uniplex with the clock. Certainly, you're going to be talking about that another time.
Merci, Madame Boutillier. Quelqu'un
Thank
d'autre?
you, Councillor Le Boutillier. Anyone else?
Non? Alors, merci
Hearing
encore
none.
une fois. Comme
Thank you once again.
plusieurs fois déjà,
As we've said several times already, it was a great pleasure.
vécu un moment ou l'autre
I think
avec
we
les
all
enfants qui nous ont
had
amenés,
great moments with our
on
children
aurait aimé-
who brought us further along
on aurait aimé d'aller.
than we thought we were going to be going. But it's always
C'est toujours bien de voir le progrès que
great to see the progress
font dans
that our
différentes
young
sports,
people
différentes
are accomplishing in various activities and various sports.
ça nous prend toujours au cœur.
And so it's always very dear to us when things like this happen. So we're there for the right reasons, and we continue. We move forward. Thank you. Thank you once again.
OK. Présentation maintenant, pour la
The next presentation is for summer programming for the coming year. Or would you like to take a quick break right now or later? Right now? That seems to be a yes. So let's take a 10-minute break. Thank you.
Alors, bonsoir tout le monde. On continue avec les présentations. Nous en sommes maintenant à la 6e présentation qui
Good evening,
est
everyone. We're now at the item number 6, which is a presentation on the summer programming for heritage and partnerships.
avec Madame Cormier.
And we're going to hear Ms. Cormier. Good evening. Good evening. Before I start with my presentation, you know that when I show heritage photos, I like to explain it. And this one is an air show that was held on at the airport, our old airport on Gauvin Street in 1931. So that's the picture I wanted to show you this evening. I don't think anybody here remembers the old airport that day, but thank you. Well, I didn't think so, yeah. So I'm also going to talk about Maison Doiron, but I'm going to talk about the whole programming at the Uniplex Greenhouse and at the Maison Doiron and our partnerships with the Heritage Gardens and the partnership with Kodiak Transpo and the daycares. Now, Maison Doiron, the Doiron House, we hired 4 students this year. It's same as last year. We had 2 new ones and 2 are coming back from last year, and 2 new staff members as well. And they're going to work on special projects because on Thursday we have all 4 employees with us. 2 of them give guided tours and the other 2 are going to work on projects that I will explain in a moment. Now, the programming in the greenhouse in June, just for your information, the Second Chance Food Bank was able to harvest 3 times in the greenhouse. So 3 times they came to pick food. They were really happy because this is different types of lettuces, and quite often whenever they get things, it's expired. They'd never had anything that fresh. So they were really pleased. They were delighted to be able to come and pick their lettuce. And we were happy too, thinking that we'd have 3 harvests a year. We had 3 in 3 months. So the aeroponics system works really well. And we want to give a training on gardening aeroponics. In June, we're going to take 4 citizens who'd like to learn how aeroponics works. And then they'll be able to help us because you have to go water the plants every 2 days. And another thing we do there in July, if we can, and this is the first summer that we have the aeroponics in the greenhouse. And already the hot days we've had these last couple of weeks have caused dry air in the uniplex in the greenhouse because of the big windows. And so July is going to be a test month. And in August, it's like when you make ice and you take it away, you have to turn off all the systems. And then, so in September, then we want to start. So that's why we say it's a reduced rotation in July and August. We're still going to try and give training to people who are interested. Now, for the program at the Doiron House, the opening will be June 3rd, but it'll be the opening for the summer season, but we're going to have a poetry session on Saturday, June 15th from 2 to 4 p.m. It's going to be an open mic session for reading of texts and poems evoking flowers and springtime. And we're going to have the market by 3 artists, 3 local artists. They're all women. One is a painter, one is a botanist, a portraitist, and she's also an artisan with dried flowers. And the third one is going to come exhibit their work. Well, you might have seen them at the Dieppe market as well. So this will be new. They're also going to sell copies of their works, and for anybody who wants to purchase them. Now, Mr. Doiron's Heritage Garden. This is one of the projects the youth are going to work on, our summer students. They're going to look after Mr. Doiron's Heritage Garden. We're going to have 2 huge boxes for planting, 4 by 12 feet with 6 boxes each to plant. And we're going to plant some heirloom feeds for savory and potatoes and cabbage and carrots. And we're going to set it up exactly where Mr. Leger's garden was last year. And also Mr. Doiron's small garden was at the same area. So we're going to put the garden back exactly where it was back in the day. Now for the guided tours, they're going to run from Monday to Sunday, just like last year. Over the last 2 years, we had over 1,000 people who took the tour. So we're going to continue these guided tours with our students. We also added we've added promotional material in the tourism centers, and we're also in the museum, Southeast Museum network. So they have all of the programming in all of the facilities. So I'm really interested to see how these guided tours are going to work. And I'm sure they're going to be great. And we're going to have Sundays, Sundays in song. This year, it'll be the only Sunday that we're not going to have it. It'll be the Sunday that there's already a concert in Dieppe, but we're going to have different artists, different singers with traditional music, André Saunier, Michel Gordon, Mario Le Breton, Marie Bourg. It's all different types of musicians with different types of instruments and Acadian music starting on July 7th, every Sunday. And the other thing I wanted to mention, we're in July and August. We're going to have an exhibition from of visual artists. When people come, they want to see exhibitions outdoors of outdoor works of art. So we're also going to have a theater and storytelling, because our 2 staff members are already working in theater. So they have experience and they want to start theater in Dieppe. So they're going to work with kids this summer to put on a show. And New Brunswick Day, we want to create a partnership with the Indigenous community. We're talking to them now. It's a little difficult. Sometimes we've sent dozens of emails and they haven't answered yet, but we've had meetings, virtual meetings, and if they're interested, we just have to continue working on that. It takes a while, of course, but we really hope that we'll be able to get them to come. They wanted to come and bring emerging youth to sing at the Doiron House on the New Brunswick Day, so they were really happy. We just still need to confirm it with them. And like Mr. Doiron's garden is going to be in partnership with the youth who work at the Café Inclusio, because they also need to they have youth that they need to hire, but they don't always have work for them. So they're really happy to have them work in the garden as well. So that we're going to have them work. Another partnership is with the Kodiak Transpo that's being planned right now. We're looking at it. Last year, we had received several requests from daycares that wanted to come visit the Doiron House, but didn't have transportation. So we looked at all of the bus stops to see if they were close to daycares. Now the buses are free for anybody 12 years old or younger. So we could see if they could take the bus and then get off at the church and then come to the Doiron House. And Megan she's a storyteller. She's a specialist in children's story time. So she's going to work with them and talk to them and tell them stories when they come. And we're going to work with Kodiak Transport to see how we can accommodate them. And that's all for me. If you have any questions, thank you for your presentation. Questions, comments? Councillor Jana, thank you. I have a question on the heritage gardens. What are you going to do with your harvest? Are you going to prepare a good Acadian supper, old-fashioned Canadian supper. Well, we give courses on health and healthy eating, but there are some youth that think it's their garden. So we're working with them to see what we can do. So that's part of the strategy. We have to see what museums want to do. Any further questions or comments? Thank you for your presentation. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great evening. And now we move on. Well, we're still in the same sector, but we're going a little broader. The Director of Leisure Services, Denis Leblanc, is going to talk about the different programs that will be offered this summer. Good, welcome. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to come plan what we have planned this summer. There's some things are coming back, some things will be new. We don't like doing the same thing all the time, but I'd like to change things up just to make my life more complicated. There are three types of events that we organize. The community officers are either liaison officers, support officers, or organizers. We play three different roles, and we have exchanges with different groups and organizers, but sometimes we don't have a big role to play. We just have to make sure that all of the rules are abided by. And in terms of, that's for liaison. In terms of support, we're a little more involved. We have a accredited community officer that helps with the organization of the event, and the organizer will work with the resources we have. Now, we'll start with the veterans. As you know, this year, we are going to have a recognition celebration on the 80th anniversary of D-Day. On June 5th, we're going to participate in the events organized by the Government of Canada in order to recognize the 80th anniversary of D-Day. This will be at place 1604, starting at 10 a.m. There will be an activity at the Cenotaph, which will be presented in partnership with us. And then there will be a snack at the center, the Arts and Culture Center. If it's, we're hoping that it'll be a nice day and we'll be able to do it outside. And there will be three further ceremonies. The ceremony of the Dieppe raid on August 18th, Remembrance Day on November 11th at 10:30 in the morning at Mathieu Martin, and on September 18th at 1:30 p.m. at the Parc Gilles Laurier-Cormier to celebrate the Battle of England. And it's been raining the last few years, but we're hoping that we'll be able to organize something this year. Now, we're not neither liaison or organizers here. We're support. We're offering a support role. For the Dieppe Pride, which has been going on for the next few years. There's a few activities. In June, they're going to have the crosswalk at the corner of Marché and Gauvin Streets. That's where the crosswalk will be. Then on June 1st, there will be a flag raising at the City Hall, and council members are invited. A trivia evening and poetry evening at the JG Bistro on Champlain Street on June 16th, a bowling evening on June 7th at the Bolorama, and the queer and the neighborhood party at place 1604 on June 8th between 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. I think here at the here, and on June 9th it'll be a storytelling, drag storytelling, and it's becoming more and more bigger every year. So we have a committee that really sees everything big. Now we have different races as well. We have electrifying night race at the Rotary Park that usually it used to be organized close to the hospital in Moncton, but because of the different challenges, the Rotary Club is safer. So we're going to have more and more races. It's going to be on the trails rather than on the roads, even though we prefer the trails for the safety, and of course it makes it easier for everyone. On June 8th, there's a triathlon for youth, Kids of Steel, at the Aquatic Center, the streets of Dieppe, and they're going to be doing their cycling close to the Aquatic Center. June 15th, There'll be inline skates for Ride Against Cancer. It's organized by Georges Dumont, I believe. Well, between the time I presented, since I presented this, the time trials aren't going to be held here. They're going to be held elsewhere. But then there's the commemorative race for Three Fathers. I think it's the 10th anniversary, and it's on June 4th. And then I think it's the 10th anniversary. And then July 1st, there's an annual race for Canada Day. On September 21st, it's the Everest Challenge. And October 6th, it's Legs for Literacy, which is held throughout Moncton Dieppe. And this is new this year. We've already talked about it at the Uniplex with Fusion. It's a Fusion event on June 14th and 15th. There's kind of an after party that will be organized by the city of Dieppe. And this is new and it's selling well. And the Canada Day, last year it was really successful. We had a successful carnival for youth, so we're going to do it again this year. There were lots of people, even though it was really hot. So we're proposing the same thing this year, carnival with different games at the 1604 place, a show by Art Richard at 4 p.m. And then we're going back to a Wednesday show, a style show a little later at 6:30, and then at 10 p.m. there's the fireworks on the trail. And then there's a little change in terms of neighborhood parties. It'll be on Tuesday evenings. A lot of people said Friday nights weren't good. People are gone away for the weekend, or so we're proposing 5 different neighborhood parties on July 2nd, Parc d'Olbeau, on the 16th, Parc Pélagie, on the 30th, Parc Avant-Garde, on August 13th, Parc du Golfe, and on the 27th, Parc Gaspé. People have the opportunity to approach us and to help, and we can help plan their own neighborhood parties if you want. But you know, if a citizen wants to organize their own neighborhood party, we're there to help you. But these will be organized by us. And then the connection zone is coming back this year with some changes, certain things that didn't work so well last year. Some things worked really well. So we've added some new things, and what didn't change was the Diversity Mondays. We have 8 countries that are going to be represented on Diversity Mondays. It was very successful last year, lots of great comments, and it's something that people said we needed to do so that you can discover new cultures, new countries this year, and people really appreciate it. And something we'd like to improve on this year is have the Canadian population participate, not just the population that's being represented. And so that's a little bit of a challenge, but I think it should go over very well, and that'll be at 1604 as well. And Active Tuesdays, that's activities that are free, physical activities, get into shape. So we're coming back with that. You know, there were 40 or 50 people every Tuesday, and we propose being able to make inline skates available. So we thought that once a week people could borrow these rollerblades or rent them rather, and then go to, you know, we already see people with rollerblades on the ring. So, and then here we have the Wednesday show, which is back for 36th year. So it starts on June 26th with Partnership Festival Pop by Symphony New-Brunswick, which is part of their special pop festival. So that's really good programming here for the Wednesday shows. And yeah, it's according, you know, there's a swing, a group from Ontario, Les Matelots, Sirène Matelot, the group from Louisiana, a group that was really popular last year, Fayot and the Swing Group. And then we could have the mainlanders, which are becoming really, really popular. We could have filled the place 1604 10 times. We also had a partnership with the secondary school, the high school for youth. In the high schools, they have a contest, and the finalists will come sing in Dieppe this year, and I think we're going to look at that this year to add some youth elements to our Wednesday show. And our open air cinema, we're going to continue with the FICFA this year. We thought that we could give it to the FICFA, but no, we were able to get 2 films from the FICFA. And this event in the dark at 9 p.m. We have some. We don't have a lot of youth, but we thought if the FICFA films would bring us a new participants. You know, at 9 p.m., my 7-year-old is already asleep. So we're trying to see if there were other ways to really reach the population with some, films for older folks. So that's new in direct from Dieppe. We're going to have a TV game evening, TV games one evening on a Friday night. We're going to try. This is new. And this, there are a number of people who follow these kind of shows, Price is Right, Family Feud, Jeopardy, that kind of game. So they're going to be a different game every Friday night. It's all free. It'll be at the Arts and Culture Center. Participants will be chosen at random from these participants, like the Price is Right. And at the beginning, we were going to do it outside, but then we decided we were going to do it indoors in case of bad weather. So we're going to try that. We're going to see what happens. But I think we do probably have a number of people who would be interested in this kind of evening. And Saturdays, we're going to have a sports series. Every week, we're going to focus on different sports. They're going to talk, they're going to have ball hockey, disc golf, soccer, dodgeball, mini golf, pickleball. All of this will be done at place 1604, all organized by the students, but in collaboration with the students. Ball hockey, for example, and disc golf. I mean, there's going to be different competitions for youth, and they can sign up depending on their age. And then on Sunday, we're in partnership with the Wingate Hotel, and the connection zone is organized. Well, the city can't organize all of things. So we see it would be logical to set up partnerships with some of the stakeholders in place 1604. The Wingate was interested in organizing a trivia evening. There's a lot of trivia evenings in English. There aren't so many in French, but we thought it might be interesting to try and attract people to this kind of evening. A general knowledge quiz. There's going to be bar service and a canteen and in-house facilitator. And everything will be out on the patio, the Wingate Terrace on the patio. So perhaps next year we could tell the Wingate, perhaps, so you organize it, if maybe we can get away from it. At the connection zone as well, there'll be one sport presented every week. We're going to invite daycares and day camps to mobilize. So if a daycare wants to come to place 1604, we'll have some youth that'll be there to help motivate them and facilitate their presence. So people are looking for that, and we're looking to see how people can stay. We don't want but we want people to come to the place 1604. We want people to be there. So it'll bring a greater number of people if we can have daycares and day camps to come as well. So there's a partnership with different associations to support that. We're also in partnership with the Crèmerie Amiro, the Amiro ice cream. They were present last year during the Wednesday show. They have ice cream in frozen containers, but this year we proposed that they could use the cabin early in the morning, so maybe they can stay open more hours. We had beer at one point. We're going to have ice cream this year. We're going to change the target population, but everybody likes ice cream, right? And not everybody likes beer. So we're also trying to set up some shady areas. We have a few trees, but they're growing, but they'll still need a few more years. So there's we're going to set up different structures. Now, of course, when we moved the connection zone to the Rotary Park, the facilities were used there and they're still being used, so we can't take them away, bring them back to 1604. So we're going to start again, we're going to build some equipment to offer some sort of dome, some sort of shade at place 1604. And for the fourth year in a row, we're going to have the Dieppe Canada Cup race. We're going to propose, we're proposing something a little different. The race is going to be held, but we're going to see if we can have a greater number of events to allow the population to participate. You know, there might be 500 cyclists at the Rotary Park, but we want things to happen for other, to have other participants. So we're going to see perhaps a happy hour for the participants at the Arts Center. Perhaps welcome the participants to the Wednesday show that week. And so people know, okay, people are coming, they can come and ask questions. We can set up a booth for them, for example. On June 12th, we have the official launch of the race. There'll be a bike race for the youth and a parade, a disco-style parade, and then a family show with like a Wednesday show type event. And then the race. And then the most waited for event here in Dieppe is the Fête des Acadiens on August 15th. We're going to have inflatable bouncy castles, like always. It's very popular. And a number of families came. And what we heard last year was that it didn't go late enough, so we pushed it a little later. So instead of 3 to 6 p.m. this year, we're going to have 4 to 8 p.m. to see if that works. And the Laurie Leblanc will be performing at 4, then discours, there's speeches at Tintamarre at 5:30 and La Bottine Souriante at 6 p.m. The Tintamarre will be on College Street, Notre Dame, Champlain. And then people have found the route a little too long this year, so we've cut it down. And La Bottine Souriante was follow at 6. They haven't come to the southeast for quite a while now. So we were able to confirm them because they haven't come to the southeast for a number of years. And then the 1755 is going to come back, but we've asked them to have some different invitees like Dominique Dupuis, Isabelle Ouellet, Marc Babin, Chris Wheaton. That'll be a little different. And then one of the comments we received last year was the presence of women. So we want to make sure that we have more women on stage this year. Dominique Dupuis, Isabelle Ouellet, and so we have a greater number of women artists on our stage. And like last year, we had 12 to 13,000 people or more for August 15th, and we're hoping for that, at least that this year. And you're familiar with this. This is the YQM Country Fest in Dieppe. I don't think I can teach you anything about this festival or tell you anything you don't know. For us, I mean, it's pretty well. People come. A lot of people come. Last year there was rain, but it's a big week here in Dieppe, this festival. And then other events that are important to tell you about, the official opening of the pickleball courts. A number of people are going to use them. We want to make sure that the turf, the grass is well installed, and the cabin and the cricket field is going to be opening this year as well. A lot of people are going to come see. You saw that the cricket came and made a presentation a few months ago. They're really welcoming and passionate. So they want to see their numbers grow as well. So we can work with different organizations and different opportunities. We work with our students. People can come learn. There's going to be a program to come learn. You know, I've never played pickleball. I want to learn what it's about. I've never played cricket. I've never played soccer. We want people to be able to come learn free of charge. And even here, disc golf, for example, we have, how do we get people to realize that these programs exist here in Dieppe, that they can come learn about them. And then there's a committee, the seniors committee. There's things going on at the Doiron House, and we decided to revive the 55 corner this year. So if seniors want to come to the 55 plus corner, there's facilities there that were more or less used over the last few years, but it's still, there's be a committee that'll work on the programming for it. That's it. Okay. Councillor Genet, thank you. Thank you. Great presentation. I'm very excited about this summer. Some great things going on, some new activities, and congratulations for the initiative of establishing partnerships with Accro de la Chanson to allow youth to perform on the outdoor stage. I have a question on August 15th. Is this a large scale event that we're going to have? I mean, it is that we're going to have thousands of people at. Is there anything new in terms of safety in the field this year, especially talking about alcohol? Well, this was a little concerning because the organizer didn't know what was on the site, but YQM is the week before, so we'll be able to put a fence and fence it off better. But this year, just to know, we're going to search people before they come in. And we know that August 15th is a family day, but when there are 12 or 13,000 people on the site, it becomes a little worrying. So that's what we're proposing, just to search people. Everybody who comes in will be searched. And so we're as people came in, perhaps we'll have to set up different entrances if we want to consider doing that this year in order to improve safety on the site.
Thank you. I'm sure it's going to be a major logistics undertaking, but it's a good thing to do for citizens. And my second question, with regard to recycling, in that area, are you going to be picking up the cans? It was our intention to identify a community group to do this. Other environmental groups who wanted. Last year, we didn't because I don't have any reason for it, but we didn't do it. So we're going to be looking for a group like the Scouts or another environmental group that would be interested in doing it. So that's what we're going to be looking for. Once again, congratulations for all the programming. Thank you, Councillor Le Boutillier. Thank you. The same as Councillor Géry, that really I'm breathless. These are wonderful activities that the residents of Dieppe are going to be very lucky. They're going to be spoiled. They've been spoiled in the past, but even more, many new things. And it changes a lot of things. So thank you. Wonderful work. Thank you, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. As Councillors Le Boutillier and Genet have said, it's great programming. We've never seen so many activities and new ones as before. So congratulations. I have one question with regard to IQM. We had requested there be a francophone component, and there's nothing indicated. Has there been any success in negotiating something? In the agreement last year, if you remember, it was the city that organized it for 2023-24, and under the agreement, it said it was their responsibility. I haven't yet seen the list of artists that have been put forward. I know that it won't be actually the mobile stage in the city, but another stage, but I don't have a list of artists that they're putting forward. There are community artists, but I still don't have the list available to me. Great, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Godbout. Thank you. Like the others, it's great to see the evolution of these activities. We had given you the mandate of increasing the number of activities, and you certainly picked up on that request, so thank you. When I look at the number of activities, I wonder if we might make a link with the active transportation. That is, so how people get there. In the past, we had talked about, people come by bicycle or that kind of thing. What kind of work has been undertaken or what kind of thinking has been done to link these activities and our plans for active transportation, people using trails to get to the city center or other ways? We didn't spend a lot of time thinking about that, but these are long-term plans with regard to events that we organize that are led by others, especially by those who use active transportation. There's a value to the city, and eventually in the department, I hope we develop some concepts that the best thing to do, and then we do those things and people follow. But to answer your question, is something has been done to encourage us, not officially, but it's certainly something that the department, with the support of Jeremy Aubé and others, will bring forward. I'm not taking anything away from the work they're doing. We're always looking for the next step. We were always like that. You've done something wonderful. We want to know what's coming up. So it takes nothing away from the great work that you've already done with the very important steps that you've undertaken to give us summer programming. I thank you again for that. Thank you. Seeing no other lights on, I know that we're all eager for the next two items concerning all the funding. We still have one more for summer programming. Immigration, sorry. I'll bring the mic down. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Yes, there are more activities to tell you about. As Denis described before me and Pauline, we're all working very hard at offering programs that will bring in all residents. So I'm very pleased to give you the edition of 2024 for the Canadian Day for Multiculturalism. I'm very pleased to be doing it tonight on May 21st, which is the World Day for Cultural Diversity, Dialogue and Development. So if you see our Facebook page, we have a publication. We've published this to underline the fact that it's today. The Canadian Multiculturalism Day happens on June 27th this year. And it's a day celebrated throughout Canada. And for us, it's one of our major events. And it's a day we invite everyone to celebrate cultural diversity. We invite people to discover, to meet, and to celebrate the various cultures that we have a chance of living with. We begin the week with an exhibit at City Hall and the Dieppe Public Library. Monday, we start at City Hall with many artists. So we have two from China, one from Tunisia, and this week a group from the Ukrainian Club, which has been added to our exhibition. We create some interest in the day. On June 27, we'll have the stage for Mercredi Show. So we'll begin our evening with a multicultural parade. We'll have music, traditional clothing, and dances. After, we'll meet at Place 1604 with various shows. There is an indigenous group, a Cameroonian dance group, Brazilian dance group, people from China, Cadiz. And so we are trying to interest everyone in the show. There's a cultural market with different ethnic groups, food, artists, allowing people to discover, and also bouncy castles for the children. I want to quickly share with you where the parade will go. The route is here on the screen. We're trying to centralize the event around Place 1604 to ensure accessibility and visibility of this event. So we'll be walking on the sidewalk this year as a first attempt, and in the coming years, we'll assess and decide how we continue on. And so this is it for June 27th. I simply want to say that all of this would not be possible with our two-person team. Without the support of other city services, clearly we greatly appreciate the cooperation from other members of the team. And I also want to add, and has been confirmed after I made this presentation, is that we will also have an opportunity to have another Canadian citizenship ceremony on June 6th next. So many other activities are being added. Thank you so much for your presentation and this update. We're very eager to see all the different variety of colors that will be grouped around. Oh, I see a light come on. Councillor Chenet. Thank you, Your Worship. I want to say congratulations for that day's programming and also the presentation today. I want to frequently went to see if someone had added a new dish from their country. So it's a great dialogue to have started. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? There being none, thank you for your presentation, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. And now, the event that we've waited so long for. The next presentation is about finance. After listening to all these lovely plans and stories that we've heard, let's see where we're heading. Good evening, Your Worship and all councillors. This evening, we'll be telling you about the reserve fund to December 31st. So December 31st is the end of the fiscal year for the city. Ms. Kissy is going to do the presentation, and we'll also be detailing the reserve funds. So the reserve fund, there are 4 of them, in fact. There's the general operating fund, 3 million and 28 million. So that's the biggest one. The sewage and water, you can see the figures on the screen. Water and sewer, 5.5 million, 7 million, and lands for public purposes for a total of $38 million. So the first one is the general operating fund. As Ms. Casey had presented, there's a maximum of $3.15 million, so 5% of the budget, of the operating budget for the previous year. It has been attained. We don't go beyond it. It's a maximum. So this amount of $631,000 for equipment repair. So renovations to buildings for 455,000 and other programs. So for unforeseen or unexpected, 321,000 has been set aside for taking snow away. And then outstanding expenses of $572,000. Basically, many are listed, but the major ones are funds for the sustainable development and also the envelope of 2023. So its envelope has not been used, wasn't used last year for affordable housing. This is a new initiative of financial encouragement that was put forward last year, so $160,000 there. The next one, $640,000 for expenses to 2023 put forward to 2024. This was foreseen in last year's budget that were put forward. They were carried forward. And also signage for 100,000 and transfers to the water and sewage budget. They were not used in 2023. So this is for the deficit of 2019, 2.7 million that was repaid over 4 years. So we had 250,000 last year in reserve. The next one is a one-time expenses, a new strategy used this year to reduce or to use up the most reserve possible to reduce debt. And so, in fact, reserves contain surpluses from previous years, but to a maximum amount. There's a maximum, as we said earlier, and so it's always maximized. And this year, much has been used for one-time costs. So the initiatives, Francophone initiative for 100,000, activities in the city center, the study for the city for 180,000, demolition of the Dover Center, 150,000, and the secondary plan for the Dover sector, $285,000. So this is really the details for the GOF. The second one, the major amount is 75% of this reserve fund is a capital budget. The big amount here for this reserve is the equipment replacement program, some $9.7 million. This is really managing our assets because we set money aside every year to manage our assets. This is a part of the financial statements for the year, and this budget is put aside to manage assets, capital operating project, in addition to repaying debts. So more we pay down the debt, more we can put into assets. And so in this $9 million, 3.4 million was for transportation, recreation, buses, and firefighting. So we've tried to put much more funding into asset management because it's the responsibility of the city to do this. The more money we set aside, the city is fairly young, so the buildings are young. Not a lot of repairs are happening yet. So we set aside as much as possible because in the next 10, 15, 20 years to come, there will be clearly more money and funding needed for buildings. So it's healthy management. Then for budgets, these projects were begun. They are outstanding expenses, and so they'll be happening. So we're talking about buses. It'll be happening in the coming years, but not in 2024. Buses and the market. This is still under discussion. Trails and other expenses. It's still under discussion. Increasing the market is a strategic of projects was $500,000. For capital projects underway, there's $9.2 million in that fund. And so these are projects that is happening since 2020 up until 2023 that aren't completed. At the end of the year, if the project isn't completed, we put the rest in reserve to be used in the following year. So now we're talking about Sustainable Development Plan, AJL, the 2B phase of the industrial park, improving Champlain-Acadie roads for 930,000, expansion of Dieppe Boulevard 300,000 has been put in reserve. 6 Gauvins has been allocated a certain amount of money to land purchases for Dieppe Boulevard for $1.25 million and replacement of along Gauvin Road. So those are the big amounts in that $9 million. The next one are current capital projects. So funding has been asked for other projects. So this includes Chartersville, 150,000, the main plan for recreation, purchases of lands for sports, various other units. So some projects had already been begun and cost more than we thought. So we had to put a little bit more funding aside for these projects. There's a $1.5 million for that. And another project that began today, the interpreter did not catch the name of it because she's speaking so quickly. So these projects, once we produced them in the budget last year, were a total of $33 million. And so it's better to use funding from the reserve to reduce debt. So that's what we were talking about. The less debt we have, the more we can put into our assets, taking money from the reserves for these projects. And then in uncommitted, 843,000. So it's money in reserve, but it has not been assigned to a project yet. And now we come to the water and sewage operating budget, $0.69 million. So there's small pieces. If you look at the other reserves that we talked about, 71,000 for equipment repair. And so it comes from the operating fund. So these are repairs. It's not assets, really. We're talking about broken rock. It's not something that we're going to capitalize. So 71,000 in this case for the water meter program, and in unforeseen 231,000. So there's an amount in there for the stabilization fund for water and sewage to stabilize the water and sewage rates that we charge to residents. For many years, the rates haven't changed. And so if there were ever a big increase in costs, it would allow us to stabilize the costs that we charge to residents. So unexpected or outstanding expenses, Laserfish, these other projects. Expenses from 2023 push forward to 2024, $75,000. This is the new water master plan. It was talked about last year. It's going to happen in 2024. And then one-time expenses, 293,000. Once again, water meters, pumping, a little bit of money has been set aside to pay for those costs. Now, the water sewage fund, we're talking about $5.7 million. And we have equipment replacement. In this case, it's about half set aside for the municipal fleet. So 758,000 is included in that $1.1 million for the fleets. And then asset management to make sure that we have enough money set aside for pipes and other water carrying. And then the outstanding expenses for water and sewage, it's the upsizing of neighborhoods. We put money aside for subdivisions. So when the developers undertake their developments, and if the city would like to have bigger piping for a wider surface, then we ask to increase the diameter and the city pays for the difference. So an amount of 429,000 set aside for that. And then the big amount is sanitary waste. And capital projects underway, expansion of the industrial park, to be phased, that's a big amount, as well as replacing the water lines along Gauvin, and residential water meters for 244. Other projects, capital projects in 2024, $1.219 million. The big components there are the leveling of Chartersville. So this is a project which is just underway. There's an amount of $654,000 and the realignment of another street. That project is currently underway, $240,000 for that. And improvement for Champlain-Acadie for the amount which gives you 1.8 million, and uncommitted. This is as of December 31st. Since this time, we've already attributed 58,000, which was presented in the last couple of weeks to council, being used from this non-committed fund, which was for the project. So since the beginning of the year, since January 1st, the reserve funds have accumulated, have increased in value because of interest. So this also helps to increase funds in those reserve funds. The last one, reserve, is the lands for public purposes. This is according to bylaw Z3, item 4. When developers have new developments, they have a choice of putting 10% of their surface for lands for public purposes or give a certain amount for before the development. So at the beginning, when they're just starting their plans. So this 8%, when the developers choose to provide money, this funding is put in reserve for lands for public purposes and can be used for purchases or improvements, but it's mainly used for purchases of lands provided for parks for residents. So those are lands for public purposes. There you go. Any questions by council members? Councillor Godbout. Thank you. Very useful. I think I was one who wanted more clarification about reserves. And in the context that we had asked the question was to better understand for the budgetary process next year, what opportunities could have been given the reserves to have an effect on the tax rates and for property taxes next year. When you look, there are a lot of amounts that have been attributed, but there were some opportunities in the capital projects to review the amounts that we have. So is it your intention to review the amounts that have been attributed? And how are you going about that? Yes, in my budgetary experience, it's something that Sylvain can add to, but every year we go through this to see where these projects are. Are they going forward or not? Is the amount enough? Or can we take some from that reserve? And it's reassessed every year. And to be clear, it's a policy for asset management. I really support this. It's good financial practice, and I'm not looking at modifying these things, but I also understand that we have a fairly prudent approach, we at the city of Dieppe, and when we listen to citizens, they say and they ask us if we have the means to find additional funds to reduce the taxes. And my question for you is, can the city of Dieppe amend its policy on reserves to benefit taxation rates in 2025? Is there something to be done there? Is anything available to help us? I'll let someone else answer that question.
Parfait, merci. Merci, Monsieur le Maire.
Un peu de détails.
Some details. Yes, some details about this. Mariette, if you go back to the second slide, back to general operating. Yes, right there. So the last line that you see here, the 20 million for one time in 2024. As Maria said, it's a new strategy, and the strategy is that instead of having this expenditure in the operating budget and that it be financed by citizens' taxes, so increase the budget to 1 million to see to these expenses, I use the reserve instead. And with regard to the operating budget, I have income from the reserve, which is going toward the general operating budget to pay those expenses. Where am I heading with that? Well, in the last few years, we've had major surpluses with regard to salaries. I'll be telling you that in a few moments in my own presentation. And so instead of having, that is, I use the fact that we have surpluses that mean that this expenditure of $1 million at the end of the year, what I'm hoping is that I will not have to go to the reserve to pay those expenses. I can do it by surpluses arising out of not paying salaries. In other words, what I'm saying is, instead of reducing the salaries, because salaries is a budget, we budget 100% for that. You know, we have 95, 96% of the salary rather than 100% of salary paid out. I take that surplus to finance the one-time expenses. So I put these one-time expenses to one side, and I can decrease this. So what I'm done, because it's a transfers here and there, I reduce the budget by $1 million. And so it helps that taxes are reduced by $1 million. This is a strategy that I developed last year, in fact, to not have 100% of the salaries and one-time expenses in the same budget. So I take from the reserve to finance the one-time expenses. And at the end of the year, we probably won't need to use the reserve, which means that for the one-time expenses of 2025, we already have the money in the reserve for that. So it's the new strategy that we're going to be using. So we aren't going to use part of the reserve to help finance. So even if we have an extra $1 million, it could be available in the 2024 budget, even if we absorb the one-time expenses into the budget in some way. So it's the surplus, not the surplus, not a surplus, because it's not the surplus that I want to talk about, but it's really a reserve fund that we've set aside, and we working with that reserve. So I come back to my question, are there any measures available in our reserve policy that could be used, or amounts that could be used to reduce the property tax rate for 2025? In other words, are there any reserves there that are surpluses, that are maybe conservative amounts, or other things? Well, now you're coming to the big reserve and the capital budget, and it's not used for the operating budget. So they are two separate things, if you will. Clearly, we could say that the asset management, we put that aside this year and we reduce the operating budget. We could do it. Is it something that we want to do? These are all choices that we have to make at the end of it all, because this is money. That is to say, we are in 2024 and until 2030, according to asset management, there isn't much, there are many fewer assets to change in 2030 than there are later on. So we have a young city, and we are lucky to be able to put money aside. That's our strategy. If we say you don't want to go ahead with the asset management, yes, you can do otherwise and reduce asset management, but there's going to be a cost for it later on. These are choices. They're all choices that we have to make. But, yes, it's related to the question. So there are choices to be made, and your recommendation, if I understand, is to maintain the policy that we have for asset management right now. And that's what I've understood. That's right. But we're going to come back to the asset management policy, hoping that this year, at the end of the summer, because we'll have to review it. And so we're at a point where we have to review it now.
Yeah, with the active of the management of natural assets as well. Can we add them yet? Or no, well, I don't know. I don't want to answer that question just now. I think we had talked about it at the beginning of our term, but we'll come back to it. But yeah, this is another issue. So I just wanted to see, is it possible to look at the list that we have, like all of the projects you listed? Are there projects in there that we want to perhaps postpone or review? Well, once again, it's all a question of choice. For example, in a future meeting, a future public meeting, an upcoming meeting, we have a decision to make. For example, there's a government program that we've always called the fuel tax. That program wrapped up in 2023, and the province signed with the federal government for 2024. Now, the nature of the program could change. So what we've always used that when we budgeted for asset management for the last 2 years, but it could go up. There might be a $2 million missing, though. And what could save us is the first line here, the 9.7 million. Well, 4 million of it, that is for future projects that are yet unidentified, but could serve to replenish the loss of opportunity of if that 2 million is no longer accessible in future. Well, thanks for those clarifications. Your Worship, if you allow me to add something, because there are other initiatives, other strategies to see how we can lower the tax rate for the citizens. So these are things that we had presented at one time when we said that we had to review our base budget. That's the exercise that the team started, and we're going to look at the base budget every year. That's an exercise that will give you a certain picture of the situation, and then you'll see the choices that you'll be able to make and the choices that we will recommend. Another thing I'd like to share with you is that during the budget process, we have certain projects on the table, whether it's the different programs. We saw great programming for this summer, but all of that has costs because most of these events are free. So that's something else that we will share with you in the fall. And the asset management project and the road infrastructure project, all of that will be presented to you in the fall. And that will have to be based with the new tax base that'll be generated by all of the development. Now, this is one element, but there are other factors that will be considered, and we're going to have discussions with council in the fall. So don't just think that this is done just this evening. It's a process that's going to take a number of months, but we'll come together to make decisions for the best for this in the interest of our citizens. Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, my question was very similar to Councillor Godbout's, and you answered quite well, so we'll wait until we get further analyses. Thank you.
À force de peser les boutons,
I'm clicking too many buttons here. I even turned mine off. Now we move on to the presentation on the first quarter financial results. Mr. Thériault. Yeah, good evening, Your Worship, Council, colleagues. So we are at the end of the first quarter, which ended on March 31st, 2024. I need to raise the mic here. So the general operating budget was 79 million this year, as you can see in the first column. And in the second column, you have the budget to date. The difference, there's an $8 million surplus, if you will, that for the first 3 months is because the revenues that we received from property tax are divided equally into by every month. So we receive 3 or 4 or 5 million every month, but the expenses, there were fewer expenses at the beginning, but more at the end, especially in the debt repayment. Most of these debt repayments are done at the end of the year, and these are big amounts. So at the beginning of the year, there are fewer expenses, but more revenue. So we anticipate that we should have about 8 million surplus here. However, when we look at the actuals, the next column, we can see that the surplus is 9.4. So we have a little more revenue than expected and a fewer expenses than expected. Now, we have 330,000 of revenues approximately, and we have a surplus of $880,000 in expenses. In the next page, I give you more details on this. I see that the top of the page says 2023, but no, it's actually 2024, as you will have guessed. So the 79,000 million, and our budget to date is almost 20 million. We see the property tax, the first line. We meet our target, if you will. We had a budget of 17.96 and actual is 17.96, so that's good. The from Finances New-Brunswick, this is the financing that's going to disappear over the next 2 or 3 years. We received 1.1 million, and that's going to be reduced to 800,000 last year and 68,000 this year. So that's 17,000 so far this year, which is expected. It's the 330,000 surplus. Now, because of the building permits or the value of the building permits that were issued for the first 3 months of the year, it's mostly building permits and other inspection revenue that we had more than $250,000 ever. I had $830,000 expected. We had budgeted 500. We received 1 million. We increased it by 830,000, knowing that the interest rate had gone up. So will construction going to continue on? Well, yes, it did. It continued going up in Dieppe. So that's why we have 250,000 surplus so far. The other surplus is, we talked about the arena for 40,000. It's not a lot, but it's still a significant amount. So the ice surfaces, ice rental, we have 2 people who are working on reservations. So they have more time to get the amounts owing. So it might only be that they went to get the amounts owing. So maybe that's why the revenues are a little higher for the arenas as well. And lastly, interest. So we have 8 point on the, we had $8 million surplus so far, but this is money that we have more. Well, that generates interest, and because of the interest rate today, we have about another $20,000 more than what I had anticipated. Now, on the expense side, it's similar to last year. So here you can see that the first column, you have salaries of expenses of 79 million. In the second column, salaries, we should be 5.89 million approximately, but we're at 5.33. So there's a 560,000 surplus on the salary line. One of the items is WorkSafe. That's a percentage that we have to pay on the salary, on the payroll. Last year, the rate was 2.85%, I think. $2.85 out of every $100. Yeah, so 2.85%. This year we budgeted 3%, and in fact it's only 2.4%. So that created a $130,000 surplus just for WorkSafe. Now the other item is the vacant positions. We have about 12 of them, and even if, well, they've been vacant since the beginning of the year, but that created $250,000 or $300,000 surplus. So in total, it's vacant positions and WorkSafe for $560,000. Other expenses, you could see that it's pretty stable. External commissions, a slight surplus, $30,000. The cost of water is stable. The operating capital, same thing. And as you can see, I think I mentioned earlier as well, that most of the expenses are at the end of the year. This is an example. Operating capital, that's at the end of the year that we really establish the actual amount that we needed in terms of operating capital for the year when we do the transfers to the reserve. And then as for right now, there's nothing budgeted in the first 3 months, but it's an expense that'll show up later in the year. Debt servicing, as I mentioned earlier, same thing. We have a budget of 6 million, but so far about 300,000 this year. Now, other expenses. Let's give a quiz here. Which expense do you think gave rise to a surplus over the first 3 months of the year? Because of the temperature, because of the weather, snow removal. So snow removal, the first 3 months of the year, we didn't have a lot of snow. We were able to save on the snow removal contract, on the equipment rental contract. We have about $330,000 or $350,000 that is really because of snow removal, because we had a 3-month winter that was really mild. So that gives $880,000 expenses in total. But before I go on, I can ask if you have questions so far. Otherwise, I'll go to water and sewer. No, no questions. No, no lights are on. I do have a question from far away, remotely. Councillor Lantin, thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. Mr. Thériault, now the surplus so far is 250,000, is that right? 330,000. But building permits were worth 250,000 out of a budget of 830,000. Out of a budget of 830,000, which means that so far we thought we'd have about 210,000. So 830 divided by 4, but we're at 460,000 right now. So at this pace, how much do you think the surplus would be? It would be over 1 million. Well, if it's a linear improvement, yeah, it'd be 1 million, but it's not linear. It depends on which project comes up, crosses our desk for building permits. I really can't say what it'll be. Okay, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Now, water and sewage, this will be quick. There's nothing really that stands out. You can see that there's a surplus of about 30,000 in revenues for the first 3 months. On the expense side, there's 130,000. And as you can see, that's because of salaries. So far, we're at about $160,000, but I'll give you a few more details in the next slides. Now, the revenues, water and sewage, this is because of the water and sewage rates. We had budgeted 13,200 units. And by units, we talk about unit equivalents, because we have 8 or 9 million that is fixed, but 3 or 4 million which are variable. So there was 13,200, and we have the equivalent of 13,300, and we have 300 units extra than when we had budgeted for. So 100 units times $337, which gives about $30,000. So that's for water, but there's nothing, sales of water, there's nothing, and other revenues, there's nothing as well. Now, expenses, unsurprisingly, is salaries. And for the same reasons as we just mentioned earlier, because of the general operating budget, these are the vacant positions as well as WorkSafe New-Brunswick that gave us $110,000 surplus after 3 months. The balance of the expenses is on target. That's all I had to present this evening. Thank you. Thank you. Questions from council? If not, well, thank you once again for all of those details and for being so exact in your figures. Yeah, you're welcome. And I think that wraps up this evening's meeting. Have a great rest of evening, everyone. Thank you. You too.